What excites me most is that I think that we have a different kind of a Transformers movie that I think that people are going to really love. I grew up loving these characters. I was a kid who grew up in the '80s, and I loved them from the first moment I saw the cartoon. And to have the opportunity to tell a story like this that still evokes, that great sense of that people come to expect in a Transformers film, all the great action and the spectacle and the visual effects, and then blend that with something that has just this really deep emotional heart. That was the thing that was most important to me, and that's what I hope people respond to. I think anytime you are making a big franchise film like this, of course there's pressure. It was exhilarating, and it was terrifying, and it was unlike anything I'd ever done before, and it was also very, very exciting. I mean, to be able to tell this kind of story with this extraordinary cast and this crew, which is as good as they get, it was, have the support of the producers and Paramount. It was a real thrill. I loved every moment of this experience. It was fantastic. I was a kid. I was around probably 9 years old when I saw the first animated miniseries for the first time, and I just thought it was so cool. I'd never seen anything like it before, and it was almost kind of like this kid-like point of view that everything around us is kind of, there are things hiding in plain sight, and there's like some kind of an inner life to all the objects around us. It's kind of the way a kid looks at the world, and I just thought it was such a neat thing. So I played with the toys, I read the comic books. I just love those characters. I even had my little Bumblebee action figure. As a kid, you're telling these stories, you're making up your own little stories with them. And so to be here over 30 years later and to be able to tell a story again with Bumblebee, it's pretty cool. It's a dream come true. It's the heart and soul of the movie. In every iteration of the Transformers, Bumblebee has always been the one Transformer with the deepest affinity for humanity, the strongest connection with people. And it's a really interesting aspect of his character that's never fully been explored, and I thought that was interesting. I thought, well, why is that? What is it about him? What is it about us that forges that bond so intensely? And this movie was an opportunity to tell that story, and what it comes down to is his relationship with this girl, Charlie, played by Hailee Steinfeld. That's where he fell in love with people. That's what gave him his emotional connection with humanity, and I think it's a really beautiful story. I was really lucky with my cast on this movie. They say that directing is 90% casting, and in this case, it's absolutely true. I knew at the very beginning that we needed someone who was absolutely exceptional to be at the heart of the movie, and there was only one person for me. It was Hailee Steinfeld. She's just so good. She's just fearless, and she can do anything. She can, break your heart. She can lift your spirits, and I knew that to carry a big film like this, but to also act against thin air, to be able to create a performance that is believable and emotional and makes you feel something when there's nothing there. That came later in the visual effects. It's really hard to do that. Very few people can do that believably, and she could and did, and I'm so proud of what she's done. And then you got a guy like John Cena who is the way I knew him was he was just this terrific comedic actor, but we wanted a different dimension, different layer to this character, and he just naturally oozes charisma and charm, and so he was able to give dimension to what could be just this kind of big heavy bad guy, and he made him dimensional, and I think that he really jumps off the screen in a beautiful way, and plus he's a totally awesome guy. So I was really blessed with the cast on this movie. It's one of the hallmarks of the franchise is to have extraordinary cutting-edge visual effects, and that's certainly true here. We definitely have spectacle in the movie, and that was important, and that's hard to do with the visual effects, but it's just as hard, if not harder, to make a believable, emotional performance with something that's generated in a computer. And that was really where I put the emphasis with our animation crew. It's not just about spectacle, it's really about character here. We have to believe that Bumblebee is real. We have to think that we could touch him. He's got to break our heart when we see him sad. We have to root for him when we see him, when he's the underdog. And that comes down to just a really beautiful performance that the animators bring to the process. And as an animator myself, as someone who's worked as an animator for over 20 years, that's just what we do. We breathe life into something that doesn't have any. You bring character and personality and dimension to an inanimate thing, and that's a real testament to the visual effects crew. Because it's an origin story, it made sense to set the movie in the era where the Transformers originated, which was the mid-'80s. And if we were going to do that, it made sense to me to try to evoke that feeling that the initial wave of Transformers made me feel. And a lot of that came down to just these incredible designs. I'd never seen anything like them. They were bold, they were punchy, they were simple. And a lot of that was because they actually had to change shape into these, you know, they were engineering marvels where they started as a robot and someone had to figure out how to turn that into a bug or to a semi. And so this was a way that we could see those designs modernized to a degree, but brought to life for the first time on the big screen in one of these movies. And it was just a thrill to bring them to life. I loved every minute of it. The triple changes are pretty awesome as an idea. It's super cool, and it goes back to those original days of Transformers where you could have a robot that could turn into an aircraft or a car. And because it was a smaller cast, we wanted to showcase that what Bumblebee was up against was so formidable that that the audience really worried about his well-being if you were put face to face with these characters. And he's just this tiny little scout, and he's these hulking Goliaths in front of him that can have all these kind of abilities that he can never match. And so how does he get over? How does he prevail in those kind of circumstances? It's just kind of fun storytelling, but at the same time it's just cool to see these Transformers that we haven't really seen on the big screen before.